Every so often, a game comes along that really is more than a sum of its parts, and The Alters is one such game for me. Abandoned and alone on a planet after a crash landing where your crew all die as you're the sole survivor, it's your job not only to survive and escape the planet, but also take with you some very rare resources and, well, some new life you've created along the way. Your base is key, it remains home, and around it are scattered various resources with some pretty interesting mechanics to actually harvest them. It's a game then of many parts, and each of these parts stands very, very well on its own, and combined together they become something rather special, and that's largely due to the nature of each of these components. Take for example the planet, you can see that right here. This is stark, it's hostile, it's extremely dangerous and always an ever-present threat, yet somehow there's a stark beauty to it. Now some of you will no doubt remember the video I made on the demo of this game some while back. Well, I was very fortunate to get my hands on the full version of the game thanks to the developers reaching out and asking if I'd like to give it a go and, well, make a video on it. This video then is sponsored by 11-Bit Studios and AMD, and The Alters launches on all platforms, that's Xbox X and S, Game Pass, PlayStation 5, PC. It launches on the 13th of June and is currently 10% off on PC, so it's a great time to get your hands on the game. Do check out that link in the video description. So, you're going to spend a lot of your time in the base. The base is mobile, it's a big giant wheel that moves around from time to time, but meanwhile you'll need to upgrade it and conduct various activities whilst on board it. Initially you'll be here alone, but eventually you will pick up other crew members, and that is central to the whole story. That is, well, the major focus of what it's all about. But let's focus on the base for a moment. You can expand it out, as you can see here. We can zoom out for an overview. We've got some modules. In this case, right at the start of the game, one of the first modules you add in is a workshop that allows you to start creating various different tools and various different resources. So yes, you are going to be spending a lot of time in the base, and it's actually put together very well. In case you have any familiarity with this, the developers are the same studio behind this War of Mine, so yeah, they got a lot of experience with these types of mechanics. But there's another area of the game that really is central to the entire premise, and this is where things get really interesting. The theme, generally speaking, is the concept of branching life choices. Those moments where you make key decisions in your life and your entire life could go one way or another way, different directions, different paths. And the game maps out the history of your life for you, a timeline of all the key moments in your life. Now, where things get really interesting here is the idea of branching. This is essentially where you can clone yourself and create an alternate version of you. That is the so-called alter. It's a completely unique form of character creation. And for example, right here, I decided to create a miner, an expert in mining. And that comes from this life decision where he either decided to stay in the town which he lived in and work in the mines, or in his real life, he actually left the town. So this creates a new clone of himself, a new version of himself that actually has a life experience of working down in those mines. You have some choices over which type of character you want to create. You can have, in the case I went here, with someone who has experience with mining, but later I created a scientist to assist me with those research projects. And generally speaking, you can create many of these alters in whichever order you like, although some of them are locked behind higher stats or higher tiered equipment. Now there is some character development here as well. This takes place, as you can see on screen, in response to your dialogue. You can keep them happy, or they can get very upset with you, or just upset in general. And this will affect how things play out over the course of the game, with some pretty significant consequences. In fact, this is one part of the game I've really enjoyed so far. The relationships between the various different alters can get very intense, but they can also be very deep and very compelling and very emotional as well. What's more, the fact that these are all variations of the same person means that all the alters are voiced by the same voice actor. And he's done an absolutely amazing job with this, convincingly portraying all the different characters. On top of that, really, well, there's some emotional stakes here, as you can imagine, get pretty high sometimes as well. Just think how you might feel if you met an alternate version of your own self. Another thing I really want to point out briefly here is the quality of the music. Now this is really nice and fits the game very well. In fact, you can hear some of it as we're playing the video, particularly the opening section of the game, but also throughout the rest of the video as well. It's just another one of those components that just really adds together to make this game more than the sum of its parts. Now, because this is a survival game, it does mean that resource gathering is a very important focus of the game. It's another area where the Altars has its own take on how this should actually work. You deploy these pylons that allow you to see holographically down into the centre of the ground. When you find a suitable location, indicated by the red hologram down under the ground, you can build a mining outpost directly on top of it. Now, each of these come in different flavours. There's all sorts of different resources you can mine. Right here, I'm mining organics, which are used for food and other such things. You're also going to need other essential resources, which include metals, minerals, enhanced metals, and the all-important rapidium, which we'll get to in just a moment. The mining outposts themselves will need to be powered, and to do that they need to draw power directly from your base, and you can connect them with these pylons. Once they're all connected up, you can use the mining outpost to gather the resources en masse. They do need to be manually operated, although you can send out some of your altars to do that for you later on. You can also fast travel between the outposts and your base, which really does help on with the hostile nature of this planetary surface. And another very brief note on mining. Whilst the mining outposts are the main way to gather resources, there are a few others. Sometimes you'll find samples scattered around the surface, just small amounts that you can pick up. Other times you'll come across nodes like this one, which you can then manually mine and drill. You'll also notice that all activities take time. So whether that's cooking, research, crafting, or even mining like here, when you engage in activity, time accelerates forward. And this really puts us down to another core focus of the game, which is time management. So the game takes place on a planet that's in a trinary star system. That's 3 stars, and they orbit at different distances from the planet you're currently located on. And that means every so often one of the suns comes a little bit closer, and that can increase radiation as well as other activities that generally make the planet more hostile. Now, every day you have to go to sleep, and each time that happens, the sun gets progressively closer, and this changes the environment for you. For example, right here you can see nighttime will start an hour earlier. Nighttime radiation will get stronger. There's also some benefits to this as well, such as new resources appearing on the planet. And you'll see the effects of this very early on in the game, before you even get to the base for the first time. Radiation storms are not pleasant, and you need to keep out of these if you don't want to die. You do have some radiation protection, the little circle on the bottom left-hand corner of the screen. Over time that will fill up, and well, you want to avoid that getting completely full. And to be clear here, whilst the sun does get progressively closer each day, it doesn't change the effects on the planet every single day. This is sort of a cumulative effect that takes maybe a week or so before the next big step. Ultimately, the point here is that you want to complete the chapter that you're working in before the sun gets right on top of you. Okay, so I want to talk about base building a little bit more, because this is a central part of the game. You start off with a basic default layout for the building, and does have pretty much everything you need for the initial stages of the game. Every room is a module. These can be picked up and repositioned. You simply select them and place them wherever you want to move them to, as you can see I'm doing here, or you can just put them right back. You can remove modules as well if you so want. Got a lift shaft. They're central because you do need lifts to get to different parts of the game, or different parts of the base rather. And this is kind of important because you might want to reorganize to place some of these larger modules like the dormitory here. And new modules become available as you progress through the game. You can research some of these, and in fact you can research a whole bunch of other things as well. There's a variety of different research trees. In fact, research is just one of the many activities you'll conduct inside your base. There's also production, which you can see right here. You simply produce the things you want, and you can assign some of your altars to do this for you whilst you're out doing your adventures. You can be doing things such as cooking, research, refining, and many other activities. And all of these are important to ensure you've got all the resources that you and your altars need. Beyond all that, I don't want to go into too many details because I really don't want to spoil the game for you. There's a load of surprises here and some really interesting and unexpected events that occur along the way. Whether that's the growing bonds of friendship between the altars, finally solving that challenge that was preventing you from progressing, or encountering a strange and mysterious new area. There really is a ton of things to do in this game, and it just really kind of binds together in a very, very interesting way. At the end of the day, I'm a huge fan of sci-fi and always have been. I've read many sci-fi novels over the decades, and it really does feel that both this game as a whole, as well as the story, feel as though it could have been written by any one of the sci-fi greats. So there we have it. That's a bit of an overview of the altars. I've touched on many of the areas, although not everything. I don't want to spoil some of the surprises that you're going to be finding. Like I said at the start of the video, The Alters really is, in my mind at least, a title that's just more than the sum of its parts, and this is something you don't see all that often. Do check out those links in the video description where you can find out everything that you need to know about this game. Thanks for watching this video all the way through. Do take care, and I'll catch you next time.